Hello and welcome back to another video. I just thought I'd mention, in case I didn't beforehand, that I'm going to be switching places in all these videos just to give a real chaotic, don't know where I am vibe to all these. And plus I get to test out different filming locations. So yeah, another week, another update. This week I'm mainly going to be working on the structure of the channel going forward. So what type of videos I want to be making, essentially. And I have now, as of this moment, made a new structure. So I'll briefly go over the structure I had before that you probably didn't notice existed. And then I'll go over the new structure. So, from the start of the channel, the idea that I had for categorizing videos was using 4 categories. The 4 categories were asexuality and related things, other LGBT plus topics, personal stuff, and everything else. Now, the issue I quickly found with this categorizing system was that no one really knew it existed, and the majority of my videos fell into the first category of asexuality. So it was kind of pointless after a certain point having these 4 categories, because it'd be very rare that I would talk about something that wasn't related to asexuality. And sometimes it would be a toss-up whether it would be one of, I guess, the first 3 categories, if not all 3 of them. Like, if I'm talking about my own experience being homo-romantic asexual, that's kind of talking about gay stuff, asexual stuff, and my own stuff. So it fits into those first 3 categories. So it wasn't really a good system. And on top of that, I did have certain videos or video series that I did that were completely separate to the system. For example, the Myths of Ace series. Now, I don't know if the new system that I'm going to be explaining to you will be any better, but it will help me keep a focus and kind of spread the content into distinct different types of video. So, without further ado, let's get started. So this time, instead of categorizing the videos into the specific topic or content like I was trying to do last time, I'm more going to try and categorize it on format and what the video is trying to do. So the 4 categories that I'm planning to have are just sit down and talk content, your regular slice of ace videos, what I normally do. Educational content, which will be completely separate, and I'll explain more about that in a second. Something community related. I haven't really decided exactly what that's going to be yet, and I will get into that later. And 4th will be creative stuff. And I realise at this point these categories aren't very well formed, and they are more well formed than I'm making them out to be in this explanation, but I hope you can see where I'm going with this. So my idea is I'll have these 4 categories and I will cycle through these 4 categories. So week 1, I'll be doing my normal sit down video. Week 2, I'll be doing some sort of educational video. Week 3, I will be doing something that's more community related, something where I'm taking feedback and information and views from you directly, the audience. And number 4 will be something creative, something a bit different, and then I will cycle back to the start of that. Now, I'm not saying that this will be restrictive, this cycle. If for whatever reason I want to make a video at a certain point which doesn't fit into the cycle, whether it be because there is some news that I want to cover that is fairly recent, or I have the opportunity to interview someone, for example, and I don't want to wait 4 months to then put that video out, I won't let this cycle restrict me in that sense, but it will give me a structure to which I can follow and more easily release the videos, so you kind of know what's coming out at a given time. So that's pretty much the structure. Now I'm going to go a bit more into depth about those 4 categories. So the first one should be pretty easy. It's my usual content. This will be where the majority of my opinionated content comes in, where I'm talking about my own experience or my own perspective about something in the ACE community or related topics. It will be pretty much the same content that you've come to know. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know. I will continue doing it. It's also pretty easy for me to do in terms of making it and editing it. It's a lot simpler than some more complicated or involved forms of video. My second on the list was this educational content. And the reason why I want to have this as one of the main pillars of my channel going forward is because that was one of the main drivers of creating the channel in the first place. And I think that it's something that I have gotten away from as the channel has grown. And that wasn't necessarily intentional, I just kind of ran out of content that I could do, things I could talk about. The problem with that is that now I have covered a lot of this informational content very early on in the channel. I think that my style of making videos has evolved since then. I think I've gotten better at talking to the camera since then. And I have understood and learned a lot more about an ACE experience and the ACE community since then. So I really think that those older videos can do with a bit of a refresh, and I can create a single playlist with consistent, higher quality content where I talk about the facts of asexuality, the information. So if someone doesn't know about asexuality, you can point them towards this playlist and they've got all the information they need to know there. Now, at the moment, I'm in the process of creating a list of what this information, this content will be, because there will be an end point to this. And I'm always looking for feedback and ideas. So if there's something in particular you want me to cover in an educational and an informative sense, then do let me know. I'm going to plan to make these videos about one singular topic. They may be a bit shorter videos because I'm going to try and script it. I'm going to try and be concise so I can convey the information I need to convey without boring the watcher or getting lost in my ramblings as I tend to do. So that's pretty much an overview of what the educational content will be. It will start with things like what is asexuality, what is aromanticism. Hopefully as I go on it will get into more complicated, more in-depth things like sex positivity versus sex favorability and how asexual people can have sex and why they might have sex and stuff like that. Like I said, these videos will be a bit shorter. In some cases, I may, if I have the time, release a few of these videos in 1 week, depending on my schedule, just because some of the topics may only take a couple of minutes to cover, and I don't want to unnecessarily pad out these videos. Those are the first two pillars. The third one is something community related, something relating to you, the audience. And the thing I've got in my head right now is basically asking a question every month, like, are you in a relationship, or do you want a relationship as an ace person, and what does that mean to you being in a relationship? What do you want out of a relationship? Obviously that was a terrible question. I would phrase it a lot better if I was asking that, but I would present this question and then hopefully a bunch of you will have something to say about it, and then I can form a discussion in the following video about what people have said. So instead of just sharing my own opinion about a topic or sharing my own opinion about a question, instead I can get all your thoughts together and share the experiences of a bunch of different people, so that people will feel like maybe their view is better represented. Obviously this isn't the only way that I could do something community related, and maybe this will evolve over time. This is the one that's less well defined, but hopefully it'll be something like that. And if that's something you're interested in contributing to, in hearing about, in watching, then do let me know. And finally, pillar 4, which is by definition the least defined pillar of the 4 pillars of the channel going forward. And the reason this is this is my free space to do something different, to do something creative. One problem I had with the videos beforehand was that sometimes I would get creatively burnt out. And that wasn't because I was doing too many creative things, but that was because I was spending a lot of time doing things which I didn't want to do creatively. So this would be my essentially release at the end of the month to do something a bit more involved, a bit different, to just try something out which I wouldn't normally do. So this would be a very freeform type of video. It may include things that I've done in the past. My cooking videos where I've kind of cooked something and talked about Ace stuff at the same time, that could be included. The myths of Ace I would probably include in this bracket as well, although that's more of a sit down video. I do tend to do a bit of, I don't know, I do tend to do a bit more advanced editing on those. Or like I went outside in one of them. I never go outside. The outside's right there and I never go. This is a new outside though. That's pretty much the 4 pillars. This took a bit more explaining than I expected, so this is probably going to be the whole video. But yeah, if you have any comments about these 4 pillars, now is a good time to mention those. There is a lot of time still for you to get your opinions in. This is definitely a work in progress, so the earlier you give feedback, the earlier you give me ideas, the more chance I will have to implement them. But that's pretty much all I had to say today. I did quickly want to mention before we go Aces Assemble. So I've now sent out the official brief for Aces Assemble. Basically, in short, if you want to submit a short up to 5-minute video that will be hosted on my channel during Ace Week, talking about your orientation, talking about something to do with asexuality or aromanticism, then read the brief, let me know if that's something you're interested in. I am definitely looking this year to get some more diversity in there, whether those be minorities within the Ace and Arrow umbrellas or minorities that are underrepresented but aren't necessarily related to your orientation. For example, racial minorities or religious minorities, or people who have gone through certain circumstances that may not be as represented as the majority. That's what a minority is. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say today. If you're interested, get started on that video. Otherwise, I will see you next week for another update. Hopefully, the rest of this week goes well.